So we're here at, I decided to make a run up here beyond Pottsville up to Tamaqua. They have a beautiful station that's, they actually have a telegraph office. The original one's still there. And then I guess the sight tower, that's there as well. But this station is stunning. Why not doing more on it, because I really haven't done any research. But I want to show you guys around the place, show you some of the engines and that type of stuff, because I think it'll be pretty cool. Tamaqua, Pennsylvania. Like, this is a stunning station. This is sort of cool. You have the lamps and the benches. Down there is a telegraph office and the station where you can sort of stand up above and watch for everything. I'll take you around to this stuff. It's pretty cool. They have a couple cabooses here. They do run trains out of here. I'm just not sure when. I have to do a little more research, and then I'll let you guys know about but you see the old lights and stuff like that, and just how pretty it is. The architecture of these old stations was just stunning. I think it's pretty cool back here. They have some of the the baggage carts and things like that. This is right in downtown Tamaqua. Here's some of the old cases and stuff like that. It's just really, really neat. And this is the station. But we'll do more on this. We'll talk more about it. I'm going to take you over to the trains to see those, and then we'll talk more in detail about the history of the Tamaqua station, how long this one's been here, and those types of things. So here's this really neat engine that they have here. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, so somebody can answer that and tell us what this is exactly. It's really quite neat. Pennsylvania Power and Light Company. You can see the wheels, and just really neat. Has that Art Deco type look to it. It's just such a pretty engine. They have a original old steam engine down at Minersville at their station. I'd like to show you guys that as well. You can see this in the big piece of anthracite coal there. Some more tracks, and then there's another little engine over here. This is probably one that just moved around. Yeah, cars and stuff like that. Sort of like a tugboat, sort of the tugboat of the railroad, but needless to say, very, very neat. Looks like the Lion Club has preserved this, built the pavilion, but they actually have a restaurant in there that's open, I think, Monday through Tuesday through Saturday. And like I said, I did a short. They just did a train just came through here. Now, it wasn't your typical train. It was like, I've never really seen something like that before. It was unique, but it was a car. People were riding it. I'm not sure which station it would have went out at. Maybe Port Clinton. I'm not sure, but it's just such a neat, really. This is right up there with some of those Lebanon stations that I visited that are just really beautiful stations. You know, it's an iconic era. This is probably late 1800s, early 1900s when this was built, and they preserved this, and it's here for the community to come and enjoy this part of our hometown history. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit more information in this video. I would have given it before this, but this is just sort of came up here. It's like I'm going to take some photographs, do some Instagram, that type of stuff, and then I do some of these trips to just sort of come up here, see what's here, and get a better idea of what I want to come. The next time I come up, see some things and say, okay, I want to hit that, and that. Here's some areas of interest for photographing and stuff like that. But this is like, you know what? I'm going to come up here to Tamaqua to come check this out. And thanks for coming along, everybody. And as always, we'll see you all about town.
So as promised, I wanted to give more information on this station. So the cool thing about this station is it is very unique in the fact that it was built with having a restaurant there in mind. Now, the idea behind that is that people coming from, say, Williamsport going down to Philadelphia, this would have been a key stop uh, for a layover, if you will. You know, going to Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., and even further. This was part of the Philadelphia and I believe Reading Railroad, and this was a premier stop. I mean, this particular station was built in 1874. There was a wood station there prior, because I believe the history goes back to like 1829 for the railroads in this area. Would have been a small railroad to begin with, and then eventually going into a being bought up by the Philadelphia and Reading. But it really was, it was showing the importance of Tamaqua. At that time, at its height, it had about 40 passenger trains daily in the early 20th century. So this was, you know, an ornate station. I think it says Italianate architectural style. It had a lot of the really neat uh, ornamentation that really showed how important Tamaqua was on this stop. So the history goes back to 1829 when the Little Schuylkill Navigation Railroad and Coal Company began construction of a railroad that began between Tamaqua and Port Clinton, which was at the time a distance, well, to be today, 21 miles. Originally, a water canal boats were proposed between the two towns as the means of transporting coal, but they ultimately settled on a railroad. So in 1831, this railroad was completed and began operating with horse-drawn coal and passenger cars, which were pulled along wooden rails. In 1833, two steam engines were purchased from Edward Berry Company of Liverpool, England, at a cost of $5,000 each. Then in 1839, the Philadelphia and Reading Railroad Company was formed. And in 1857, the Little Schuylkill Railroad built a huge cone-shaped locomotive roundhouse across from the station on the site of the present Rite Aid store. Then the Little Schuylkill Railroad was leased for 93 years to the Philadelphia and Reading Railroad in 1868. The original station, wooden station, burnt down in a pretty big fire in 1873, and the present station that we see today that we just visited in 1874 was built. So here's an interesting note. In 1877, following the mass hangings of 10 alleged members of the Molly McGuires at the Schuylkill County Prison on June 21st, one or more of the bodies was brought to Tamaqua by the train very late at night to await burial arrangements the next day. Due to their late arrival, the bodies of the deceased were stored in the station overnight in wooden boxes that were packed with ice as preservative. So that's something that we're going to deal with at some point here in the future. We want to talk about the Molly McGuires. Um, so it looks like 1915, the station was remodeled, including the addition of the baggage and express office, which I believe is that section that's towards the back. Um, the restaurant in the 1930s wound out ceasing operating after approximately 50 years in business. And then once again, in the 20s and the 40s, that was its peak years. They would have more than 40 passenger trains that stopped at the Tamaqua station. Popular destinations would have included Mauch Chunk or Jim Thorpe, Williamsport, Philadelphia, Reading, Atlantic City, New York, Niagara Falls, and Chicago. So it was a happening station. It really was. It was impressive. Um, So that tower that I was talking about, that was actually put up in about 1960. Um, and now the Reading Railroad in 1946 actually was the fifth largest freight carrier in the country, and largest corporation in the world. They took over the operating of this, and in 1961 they unfortunately discontinued passenger service, and the station was closed, and they basically it became abandoned. And by 1980, 81, somebody set a fire, arson fire, in the attempt to destroy the structure. One room was totally destroyed, but the building basically was done at that stage if somebody didn't step in. Thankfully, the Tamaqua Historical Society asked to be able to stabilize the building. Ultimately, I think in the 90s, then a group there, Tamaqua SOS, Save Our Station, they came in and wound out ultimately restoring it to where it is today. And it is cool that this place, they have the restaurant is back open. I believe it's Tuesday through Saturday, and they do operate some train things. They sort of have it's like a lot of it, I think everything is run out of Port Clinton through these Reading, Blue Mountain, and Reading Railroad, I believe is what it's called. Um, I might have that wrong. Or Northern. It's Reading, Blue Mountain, and Northern Railroad. They run everything out of Port Clinton. Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railroad out of Jim Thorpe does run down through Tamaqua, but they do these special operations every now and then, which I will try to make you guys aware of, and try to post that on this video for the sake of you guys if you want to come and visit this station and maybe take a train out of there as well. It's a beautiful station. It really is extraordinary. It was so much fun visiting this. This is the first of I visited this Schuylkill Haven. Just was up at Port Clinton the last weekend, and I want to go back to Minersville and film there as well. But that's the history of this station. It really has an extraordinary story, extraordinary history, and it could tell thousands and thousands of stories. But as always, I want to thank you guys for coming along, and we'll see you all about town.